Good day to all. This is our second part for strategic information systems. Make sure to watch the first part to be able to connect the concepts in the second part, like here. In this particular series of slides, the concepts that are very important are already placed on the PowerPoint presentation. So all I have to do is to expound, but some actually or parts here are actually already self-explanatory if you're just going to read. So we can just bear with ourselves as we go along the way. First is the point that many opportunities to accomplish competitive edge with information technology. That means that if we just utilize IT in the best way possible, or even in just a good way, then we can accomplish something that we can consider as competitive edge or advantage over our competitors in a friendly competition or competitive environment. Next, softwares can also help, especially if they are innovative and they are actually developed. Again, a source of competitive advantage. SISs also can be created from scratch, or let's say from ground zero or from nothing, and we create something, or there is already an existing or previous system that we can just modify or develop further on. To be an SIS, an information must do the following: serve an organization goal, meaning to say that the IS or IT should be aligned with the overall company objectives, and that IT, which is also considered as one of the functional departments, must be able to collaborate and work with the other functional units of a company or the company. So example would be the other functional departments like purchasing, accounting, finance, research and development, credit, marketing and sales, among others, or among other functional departments, as well as the other units or divisions for profit, or centers as we call them in our management accounting subjects. Then as to continue, top management must be involved throughout the process, whether we like it or not. Some final decisions and processes must begin at the top. Then SIS is part of the overall organizational strategic plan. If we have the plan for financial, we have plan for our accounting and finance, as well as the other functional departments like human resources or personnel, purchasing again, research and development, and etc. There should also be the plan coming from our information system or information technology. Then in order to develop a new SIS, management should ask questions, and these questions should be relevant as to what is being drived at and what is being wanted to be developed and changed and nurtured in the process, like the new strategic information systems. The challenge now is to estimate the financial benefits, since there are a lot of factors that we can do. But in our discussions in other courses like financial management, we can do our respective discounted cash flow method or cash flows method or DCF, wherein we can estimate and project our cash flows attributable to that particular project or system. However, again, there is extreme difficulty of the estimation. That's why experts and specialists can be involved in this. Then many fundamental business changes be involved, because once we develop something new, there would also be some changes coming from the other departments that are part of the system or the company. Then in creating an SIS, here are the questions to answer in a strategic information system idea generating meeting. First is, what would be the most effective way to gain an advantage? Effective is what would be the best way or method to be able to accomplish something. So that's effectiveness. Well, efficiency is to be discussed in four. Number two, would more accessible or timely information to our employees, customers, or suppliers help establish a significant advantage? So example, let's say for our employees in terms of their, let's say, work shifts or schedules and other information pertaining to them. Our customers would be the products, either goods or services that they really needed or wanted and would be willing to pay or purchase in the current and future times. And for the suppliers would be the example, if we have our needs for our product, so can they provide timely delivery of such? So would that result the accessibility or timely information a significant advantage? If so, how? So discuss. Number three, can an IS be developed that provides more accessible and timely information in relation to number two? Then in relation to numbers two and three, will the development effort be economically justified? Do we have the financial means? Do we have the people? Although the basic consideration would be financial, because where are we going to look money, or where are we going to have the resources financially speaking, because others can follow if we have the means. But we can also have other means also of securing money by, again, doing our financing sources, so either debt or equity, either by borrowing, for example, money from the banks in the form of loans, issuing of funds, or for the equity, issuing of stocks, those things. So the funding, can existing competitors afford to fund the development of a similar system? That's very important. Can they also develop? Can our competitors do? If ever they are going to do it and they can do it, how long to build their own similar system? Then can we make our system a moving target to the competition by constantly enhancing it so that it always retains its superiority? So this is also one thing that we can look into about that. So the system that we have can also be updated, can also be developed further so that if there would be changes in the market or in the environment, we can also adopt, we can also add more, and we can also develop further in the process. Next would be, what are the risks of not developing such a system? So what can be done? If we do not develop, there's a risk. If we develop, there's also a risk, of course. But number five is focused on the negative. Number six, are alternative means of achieving the same goals available? If we cannot do this, if we cannot have from 1 to 5 questions with this particular SIS, so are there options available? And if so, how do they compare with the advantages and disadvantages of a new SIS? So compare the new one with some alternatives that we can actually have as well. Now, to continue for our discussions, for re-engineering and organizational change, again, we said a while ago that there would be changes that can happen in the organization should we have new SIS, and the more with implementation, or if we implement it. Organizations must rethink the way they operate. Reengineering is when we are going to improve existing processes and systems, eliminating and rebuilding operations from the ground up. So from the bottom to the top, there would be new machinery and elimination of management layers. Some management levels could be eliminated. We acquire new machineries. Then this would involve IT, because if we place IT in the process, some jobs actually become obsolete, and some jobs do not actually play important role or vital role anymore, since those tasks can be done now in computerized or mechanical manner. So not anymore manual. And like manual jobs can be merged with just one person, for example. So some jobs could be just a duplication of the other. In this case, our goal for engineering is to achieve huge efficiency improvements so that we'll be able to really achieve our objectives with the least amount of resources. A while ago, we mentioned about effectiveness and now efficiency. New SIS requires revamping business processes. That's true. There will be changes. There would be some complexities that can happen, but overall, there would be really major changes that can happen in the organization. Next would be competitive advantage as a moving target. Again, it's not going to be constant that competitive advantage is fixed or stagnant. It's something that is a living document or a living target or moving target that can really change later on. As said, this is often short-lived. Competitors soon imitate the leader. So example, there is this particular system that we've made or created. We introduce such to the market. Competitors have noticed. They're going to do the same or similar as much as possible to be quick, to be able to adjust to the competition. And that's why the advantage is diminished or would decrease. Then SIS quickly becomes a standard business practice. So everybody would know it. It becomes a standard, it becomes a benchmark. So that's why our company or entity must continually modify and enhance technology. So there would be developments along the way to sustain competitive advantages. Examples of that would be the accounting or even the operating softwares. For accounting softwares, there would always be some updates as we go along the way. Operating softwares would be before we release something like Windows 11, we actually are finished with the Windows 10 and releasing it. And then when we release Windows 10, like Windows 11 is already ready, perhaps it's just being tested. And if we release Windows 11, there's already Windows 12 ready to be able to really sustain the competition and to be able also to sustain the competitive advantage in the long run. This is a case of a success story by JetBlue, which is an airline company that entered a formerly hurting market with great success. So the market is actually initially not profitable to the company, but later on resulted to success. Why? For sure, we'll be able to see here that there is technology and then IS, information technology, being incorporated. Ticketless travel. So we just have to show, for example, a picture or let's say a slip or whatever, but it's ticketless now. Then automation with IT, like we reserve online and then such will be recorded and we can have a copy of our respective ticket information and travel information in our phones, for example. Reduced cost, yes, because we don't do anymore having the printing and all on the paper, and the services will be improved because they can be provided real time. So this is JetBlue. For JetBlue, IT is at least as important as fuel that they've had. IT can make also or break a business, especially for worldwide scale or international scale. Massive automation. JetBlue developed open sky software to automate ticket handling. So they can handle the ticket real time and automatically. This would avoid travel agents and their fees, so no commissions anymore. Because before the onset of this particular software, so agents are hired so that they can look for potential customers or prospective customers who will do traveling and we pay commissions to them or they pay commissions to them. But now those are being removed, so lesser cost. Uses reservation agents who work from home. So no need for them to be in the offices in which the company might expand, might pay for more utilities and etc. Or they can minimize the giving of the or paying of the electricities or utilities in a form of allowances given to the workers who are at home using the virtual internet protocol, and then encourages internet flight booking by customers. As I said a while ago, airline ticket reservation can be done online. Maintenance IS used to log airplane parts and time cycles for replacement. There's already an information about those airplane parts and time cycles for replacement. So the IS would be giving us ample time to be able to prepare for this, like time cycles for replacement. So how soon do we need such? At least the system can provide us again a signal. Then flight planning to maximize occupied seats is automated. The seats are already determined. And then if ever there would be someone booking, so those will be blocked or there would be sort of indication and only the remaining will be available. Operational data would be updated flight by flight and available to management at all times. So real-time availability of information and we can access them or they can access such all the time. The day would be the management. Training management system eliminates need for paper records since the training can be done also online and also the tracking of the training can also be done online. We are going or they are going away from tradition since innovative techniques are being used for routing or routing airplanes. So technology really plays an important role since some of the traditional processes can also be modified or changed for the better. Example does not use hub and spokes method, which means that the hub is centralized. So all information, all reservations will be sent there, and then such hub would be distributing the respective reservation and information to the necessary agents or necessary, for now, respective employees who will be in charge with such. By doing the innovation, we can do point to point. Meaning to say that as soon as a certain transaction, for example, the airline reservation is available, then it will be treated accordingly, real time. So the results can be also provided real time, or in that situation, like just certain number of minutes. Take most profitable road or route between cities. So lesser cost, meaning for the company, then it would be easier also for the part of both parties. Keeping flight manuals on laptop computers allows for paperless cockpits. No need to file a lot of papers for the flight manuals. In that case, that would also reduce the weight of the plane required. And we can have allowances there. Saves pre-flight time associated with calculating weight of plane, annual savings of approximately equivalent to 4,800 hours. Next is we have biometrics for authentication and authorization. We just have to use, for example, our fingerprints, voice, for example, or retina scans, and so on. And again, the emphasis of paperless, which means we can minimize the usage of paper. Paperless frequent flyer program. Enhanced service. Technology helps, and then that resulted for JetBlue to be able to offer better service or services. Leather seats, real-time in-flight television, on-schedule departures and arrivals, then fewest mishandled bags in the industry because there's really an IS that would connect a certain owner with the bags available on the flight. Rapid check-in times and fast baggage retrieval because there is a system. So if we are going to get back the respective baggages or the bags, then we can retrieve them immediately or fast manner. Better security. There is an IS that can be enhanced also, for example, for the biometrics I said a while ago, so that only authorized employees can access the respective area. And in that, that's why JetBlue became one of the best, if not the best, airline business in the airline industry. The most important metric in airline industry is the CASM, also known as cost per available seat mile. And this measures how much it costs to fly a passenger 1 mile. In that case, JetBlue had the lowest or second lowest CASM for its first 3 years of operations. So this resulted to less than 7 cents. Industry average is 11 cents. And then JetBlue fills 78% of its seats, which is 7% ahead of its competitors, which is 71%. Then the late mover advantage is that if somebody enters the market later than other competitors, so the late mover can implement the latest available technologies and they're not burdened with legacy systems, which means that these systems are actually the ones that are already available and pre-existing in the market. Then JetBlue used 40% beta software. Legacy systems, by the way, are already the old and existing and outdated systems, but these systems actually are the precursors of the updated systems later on. So if later movers or late movers would do that, then at least they can be, again, using the latest available. For beta software, this is a software that is just released prior to the final product for testing purposes. Then another illustration is on Ford, which is a failure story. If we have JetBlue, which is success, Ford is on the failure. Some strategic moves end up being colossal failures. If we say colossal, then major and beyond major failures. Many fail because of lack of attention to details, which are very important, especially for our customers and business partners and their responses. So example, third bulleted point, we're unable to predict customer or business partners' response or responses. And fourth great failed initiative was undertaken by Jack Nasser or Nasser, CEO of Ford Company. The ideas Nasser was eager to push forward to the web. His ideas included install devices in vehicles to enable drivers and passengers to access the World Wide Web or the internet, and then establish website to market parts to auto manufacturers via auctions to encourage price competition among parts suppliers. So there would be supplies available coming from a lot of suppliers of parts. This push vehicle sales to web and bypass dealers and their fees, so minimizes such. Well, customers not very interested in web access in vehicles in 2000. That's the problem, which resulted to hitting the wall, which is hard, of course. So meaning their efforts just hit them after hitting the wall. Other car companies learned to use online part auctioning. This is the case now that the late movers learned from Ford. State franchising laws did not allow car companies to bypass dealers. That's a problem. There are states that allow perhaps, but then states as a whole, the majority, their franchising laws did not allow. Online sales initiative failed because again, whether we like it or not, they should be dealing with the dealers. Ford should have thought about this, about the laws, which are very important components, the legalities, when we are going to institute something new for our strategic information systems. The retreat or the result is that Ford abandoned plan to sell directly to customers online. Website used to select proper model only or model only. That's the outcome of what they did about the system. However, customers must still utilize a dealer. So suggestion is done on the website, but the dealer will be the one to cater the customers or consumers' needs. Website sold cars, but not enough to save the job of Nasser. So what happened? This resulted to a bleeding edge, which is the failure occurring because of company trying to be on leading edge. Instead of competitive advantage, that resulted to bleeding edge. Ford case shows that being a first mover is risky. That's true. Others are perhaps just following, and if they have the best time or right time, then they are going to follow. Pioneers sometimes get burned even with careful planning. That's true also. It's not going to mean that we are the first movers, we're the first takers, that everything would go perfectly into place. There could be some, let's say, strategies that would not really work. There could be some situations or instances that what we wanted to achieve would not happen. And then in that case, bleeding edge can happen. No prior experience from which to learn. It's again, first time, first mover, pioneer. Implementation costs are greater than anticipated. As said in our discussions, perhaps of other, let's say, management subjects or accounting and finance and business, that what can actually be shown initially would be just 20% of the total cost. But if we think now of outside the box or more, it's possible that there could be a lot of costs that are needed. So there can be some implementation costs that perhaps were not properly estimated, plus the maintenance and support costs, which would really sum up to a maximum of 80%, if you are not careful, even to 90%. But from our analyzing, our planning prior to that, planning, analyzing, our design and implementation as estimated. So this is like the cycle of the systems development, SDLC, systems development life cycle, in which our acronym would be PADIS. So planning, analyzing, design, and implementation. So initially, those costs would be from 10% to 20%. But if we think of the actual implementation cost plus the maintenance and support, such could be from 80% to 90%. And then technology ends up losing money for company instead of adding to the coffers. So due to bleeding edge, companies often wait before implementing newer technologies. They just observe what's happening in the market and develop later. Microsoft's approach is to seize an existing idea, improve it, and promote it with marketing power. So wait, what is happening and what is going to happen in the market, and then from there get the idea, develop it, become their own, and then they're going to promote their products as much as possible with their brand and the marketing powers. So this is known as competing by emulating, or emulating is following or copying and improving what has been emulated or what has been copied. All right, this is our end of part two of strategic information systems. Hopefully you got something from this session. Thank you very much and God bless us all always.